You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Eternal Tournament Series. I am Gabe, also known as Calamdeer, and here, joining me for round 6 is SirRhino.
I am here. Somebody lit up the bat signal or rhino signal in this case, and I heeded the call. So here I am to help bring us into the top 8. Right, we've got one more round of Eternal action before we start cutting people down.
Yeah, and boy, is it around. We got taking a little break from these primal-based decks, and we're seeing a lot of justice here with camat0 versus AromaNova. camat0 playing his patented FJS removal pile deck that he's been playing since the World Championships last year, making some minor modifications to that. On the other side, we're seeing another version of this 3-faction Deep Forge Plate Shelterwing Rider list that has been making the rounds. So interesting matchup here. Removal pile versus Aegis. Who will come out on top?
Yeah, this Fire Justice Primal Plate deck was sort of built to be resilient against these removal pile style decks. But with the nerf to protect, we see AromaNova have to shift to main decking Unseals instead, which makes your Shelterwing Riders a little bit weaker, but you're a little bit stronger against the harsh rule angle of the removal pile deck. So that'll be intriguing to see how that change up affects this matchup. But overall, this match is going to come down to both these decks are 3-faction decks, and you really want to hit those factions and curve out. And if your powerful game plan gets online on time, you're going to be looking good either side of the board, really.
Yeah, and it's not like camat0's deck was untouched either. Wanted Poster going up to 2 is definitely very real in this matchup.
Yeah, the hit to wanted poster, even though our lovely image here says it costs 1, it does cost 2 now. We'll be getting that updated on our end. Don't you worry about that. And while it still draws 2 cards, that 1 extra power can really hurt in spots, especially when you draw multiple wanted posters. Before, you could easily stack them up on 1 unit and play a removal spell in the same turn. That's a bit harder to do. So it takes a little bit more time to get these wanted posters out of hand and churn to your good stuff later on in the game. And yeah, so on both ends, players having cards go up in cost, and I'm interested to see how that impacts how this match plays out. Obviously, both decks are performing well today. They still have a ton of powerful cards, and the cards that got nerfed for a reason. They were obscenely strong. So it's clear that they're both hanging in there, hanging tough, and I'm ready to see them throw down some cards.
Yeah, we're gonna be getting here really shortly. I think that unless we see Vadiuses and Shelterwing Riders all over the place, camat0 is a little bit favored just because his deck, I think, is a little more consistent because it plays at a later point. So he's got a little more time to put together his influence.
Yeah, I could buy that. Things like Valkyrie Enforcer and Unseen Commando, while they are pretty strong mid-range threats, they can really struggle against Auric Runehammer style decks where they're just mid-range threats that aren't impacting the board. The good thing for AromaNova in this matchup is a lot of his other units do line up well against it with all of your charge units and other forms of reach. So it'll be a dance around that card and some others as we see AromaNova get first on the board here with a Vadius on turn 3. camat0 has a torch, can use wanted poster to pop an Aegis if he so desires here with double harsh rule in hand. I'm sure he'll be thinking about that at some point, but for AromaNova, this is pretty easy. Get a hammer on Vadius, take it out of Runehammer range, and really force camat0 to deploy some cards to deal with this now.
Yeah, now he's got to take another 6. He's got to pop this Aegis. It's going to take an entire turn, and then he's got to wait 2 turns to cast this harsh rule.
Or he had to draw Vanquish, which he has 2 copies of, but did not rip it off the top there. So yeah, the damage is done with this Vadius. It's going to live to hit again here. And we see the wanted poster come down. And really all an AromaNova wants to do here is rip it on seal. Instead finds a Vanquish. So won't be winning this game handily. And instead has to decide how much to dedicate to this board in the face of a potential harsh rule and commits the Whirling Duo.
Yeah, and playing the Whirling Duo is super tempting there just because of the charge aspect of it. But obviously, we know there's 2 harsh rules in Kamado Stand. And Kamado, wow, doesn't play
Yeah.
the harsh rule.
Yeah.
Afraid of
Decides.
Unseal. Afraid of Unseal. AromaNova left up 3 power, and that's going to win him the game. Almost.
Almost. Yeah.
There's a
Well,
torch.
has
Oh,
a
there's a
torch in
torch.
hand. So, yeah. Kamado maybe getting a little too fancy there, deciding that AromaNova would only dedicate another unit if they had Unseal up, or deciding that if they went to Harsh when they had Unseal, they were going to lose. Where if they play Tavrod blocks both units in play. So it's effectively as good as playing a Harsh rule there. And you don't have that blowout factor of Unseal, right? Instead, they have to have Vanquish, which AromaNova also plays 3 of. So you kind of have to pick your poison there. Do you go with the 3 of Vanquish or the 3 of Unseal? And it just so happens that Kamado picked wrong. It was essentially a coin flip that you had to read, and he made the wrong read there.
Yeah, really interesting play there, actually. But now we get to go to sideboards, and we were talking about how this style of deck from AromaNova is typically very weak against weapons, particularly Orc Runehammer. And there was just in the recent set Huru Pacifier, but that card cannot be played in this deck because we're playing Hammer of Mites and Deep Forge Plates, and you don't want to turn those off. So not as many good options to deal with Kamado's deck.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little surprised that anybody even brought this deck today, but it is still a pile of very strong cards. But this deck actually struggles against Pacifier if it ever runs into it. It has no natural way to kill a Huru Pacifier, so that can just shut off the Deep Forge Plates in hand. Of course, Valkyrie Enforcer can silence it. And we've seen that card making waves alongside something like Hailstorm as well. In terms
doesn't die to Hailstorm.
Yeah, like AromaNova's basically his whole deck is units with 3 health that die to sweepers, and even Sheltering Rider, the Aegis gets popped. So you know, a little bit of a surprising pick, but at the same time, the new set just came out, and a lot of players haven't had time to come up with brand new lists or try and predict where the meta is going. And I can respect people just sleeving up something that here's the cards I have. I know how to play this deck. I'm happy to play it, and it can't be that much worse. And saw it in that past game.
Yeah, it's also definitely possible that they were just thinking, oh well, people are going to want to play a lot of primal control, and I'll play this Aegis heavy deck. But I do agree it doesn't line up very well with Hailstorm, so I don't even know if that's a correct read.
But it looks like the game is about to be back underway, and there we see it. AromaNova opens up on a crest, and Kamado will probably respond in kind with a crest of his own. Yeah, a lot of depleted power, but some cheap spells, at least for Kamado to deploy. But this is another spot where the wanted poster nerf hurts, right? Where especially you're tight on depleted power like this costing 2 instead of 1 while you're trying to pair it with your torch or Runehammer is a tough spot to be in. It's going to hurt a lot here.
Yeah, having the super efficient early turns was what was so insane about this deck. Now it's a little more reasonable. But yeah, it definitely hurts a lot here. Kamado going to be able to get this sabotage off and miss entirely. So we'll see. Yep, he goes for it. There's just too many valuable targets to hit with that sabotage that I think he has to go for that every time.
Right.
Yeah, Deep Forge Plate is just too big and things like that. It's such a huge part of AromaNova's deck, and you want to take this opportunity early while he's still got a bunch of cards in hand to do that.
Yeah, the other reason to do it isn't necessarily the timing here. Again, your best hits against AromaNova might be a little bit later, but because all your power is depleted, you're going to be trying to get this wanted poster out of hand, this torch, this Runehammer. You didn't want to also have to find another spot to fit sabotage into this curve, as we see Kamado scout a torch to the top, is planning on, I guess, torching this Champion of Fury, but this gives AromaNova an opening to put a hammer on it if they so desire, but they won't, as they instead seek for power.
Yeah, and that's reasonable. Gonna just play out this Whirling Duo, sort of diversify his threats, and then maybe play... Well, he's gonna be a bit punished here if Kamado plays both torches, but I think he's going to go for wanted poster torch.
Yeah, Kamado had been playing crests every turn, so couldn't torch that last turn, instead opting to take extra damage. A risky move, but We'll see if it ends up paying off in the long run because he did get to sculpt his draws a little bit better.
But
Finds another Sabo.
he's not going to have an answer to a hammer on this Whirling Duo if that's what happens.
Yeah, but instead of AromaNova opting to just totally flood the board again, does not care or respect the harsh rule or the threat of harsh rule, and camat0 doesn't have it here. Instead, he's got a hammer plus a torch to kill 2 units, but that won't be enough in the face of the hammer in AromaNova's hand. So maybe camat0 will look for a different line, and there we see. So we're going to see Sabotage Torch Slay here, I'm thinking, and that'll keep camat0 alive.
Yeah, I think AromaNova was really trying to play around a handful of slays and things like that, which is why he flooded the board. But camat0 found a line to stay alive even through that.
Yep. That usually Sabotage is not the kind of draw you'd love to see on turn 6 or 5, but in this spot it was great. But now this Sheltering Rider is going to bring it on home, and camat0 scoops it up.
So that's 2-0.
That's a 2-0. Yes.
Wow.
So we're gonna scramble the production team in the back and see if we can find a backup match to jump in on. As camat0 goes down to AromaNova in a really quick 2-0 fashion.
Yeah, I think camat0 is still in top 8 contention, but I'd have to double check the bracket.
There should be at least one player that makes it in at X and 2, and both of these players had one loss. I've not looked at the bracket today or what the tiebreaker situation is like, but we'll have a pretty clear picture of it pretty soon.
Yep, but that means that AromaNova is definitely going to be in our top 8. So we're going to see that a little more of that Justice Primal Fire deck there.
Yeah, just a pile of really strong units. It turns out even with the addition of a new powerful sweeper that can answer things like Whirling Duo and Commando and Champion of Fury cleanly, you're not going to run into it all the time. And even when they do, these, as we saw there, these units can just pile on the damage real fast, assuming you don't stumble out the gates. And even if you do, a card like Whirling Duo can get you back in the game real quick.
Yeah, a big theme that we've seen today on stream is that the more proactive deck has won every matchup.
Yeah, it being reactive can be fine in spots, but I think especially like traditionally with Eternal, just being proactive has been the strategy to lean on, and then having your answers sort of fill the gaps of what your proactive strategy is weak to has served me well and other players well. And it looks like we are jumping into a backup. DrPringles versus Mouche is the word I'm getting. So let me see. We're jumping into spectate. Okay, they're sideboarding right now.
Yep. So Pringles leads 1-0. Let me see what decks they're on. I think we've seen Mouche on camera before today. Yeah, he's on Huru control. So that's that really heavy control list that we saw. That we didn't get to see the Staff of Stories, but we did see some of those Aya winners. We saw him fall earlier, I believe, to another more aggressive deck.
Yeah, Aya Winter's a really cool call for this weekend, with most players having the knowledge that the meta is shifting more towards a mid-range style. Eye of Winter has shown in the past its ability to force other mid-range decks to overextend onto certain board states and prime your sweepers that much more. Like, it makes it way easier to get 2-for-1s or better off of something like Harsh Rule if you're playing it in a control deck.
Oh, wow. So DrPringles playing Icaria Blue, so is a name that some people refer to it as. So we're gonna see a Justice Primal Control Mirror.
Okay, sure. Yeah, with the addition of, again, Hailstorm, one of the biggest, most powerful cards of the new set, and its impact is going to be felt for a long time, I think.
I mean,
the card is just when it came out, we knew it was going to be great, and then you started playing with it, and you're like, it is. Who could have guessed?
I mean, it's no Argenport sewers, but
What is?
yeah,
Oh,
really.
man, I am excited about that card.
Yeah, Loco Mojo was talking a little bit about it before, but he wasn't really sure what to do with it.
The only thing I figured out to do with it is because its list of requirements is obscene, right? Like
it's got a lot of text.
It's a token producer, but the tokens can't block. And so that's
and also
awkward.
Only sometimes makes tokens.
Yeah, it requires Knight to make the tokens, and then once you have too many of that type of token,
it stops.
It goes away. So there's one card that fixes all three of those issues. Can you name it?
No.
Last Light Druid is a Nightfall card.
Oh no!
That transforms your rats, so they're no longer rats. They can now block. And that means you can keep making more rats so it doesn't go away.
That is the most obscene thing I've heard all day. But you're not wrong.
So, I'm not saying that deck's gonna set the world on fire, but that's where I would start with Argenport Sewers, and then promptly stop after I satisfyingly set it up once without getting run over. I mean, the metagame has slowed down, so
I mean, you're basically putting together a combo that as complicated as Clockroaches with not even half the payoff.
Oh yeah,
you get to make some 2-cost units, but looks like Mouche and DrPringles are in game here. I'm taking a look at Mouche playing out some power. DrPringles playing out some banners. Both players just doing stuff that not a lot of threats to be deployed early by either of these decks. Mouche does have a privilege of rank, so a little bit of card advantage in that sense. From the sideboard, what could either player brought? So the Vision of Austerity on Mouche's side could be interesting because there are a few relic weapons, and then also he's got a bunch of really cool finishers for these control matchups. He's got 3 copies of Thunderstrike Dragon, 3 copies of Mistveil Drake, and a copy of Sword of the Sky King. So he's definitely pretty heavy on the finishers. I mean, obviously DrPringles running 4 Icaria. Main board, which is just one of basically the best finisher. But he's got a couple of Thunder Strikes of his own, some Rain of the Frogs, some Staff of Stories. So definitely a lot of bombs packed in both of these decks.
Yeah, Mouche here is just going to be racing to get as many primal sources in play as possible, get this Cobalt Waystone activated. But if Pringles has a Rain of Frogs available, he'll be able to get it online here before Mouche gets that face Aegis up. As we see, Mouche had to play a Justice Sigil earlier in this game to cast the Privilege of Rank, and that means the turn 4 Cobalt Waystone wasn't on. Now has to make a decision about the Sheltering Rider.
Yeah. Interesting, both of these decks playing a lot of Sheltering Riders. I love that Sheltering Rider sees play in mid-range, control, and aggressive Huru lists just because it's so good and versatile.
Yep. So there goes the rider down, and yeah, as you said, it can just be it can be a really easy threat to answer, but that body always sticking around
makes it good
depending on the list is it can still just, even as control, absorb some sort of spell and then be a buffer between, say, Auric Runehammers or whatever. We're working on the camera situation. Apparently the main cam actually is on Pringles, so see if I can swap over to that side. And there's an Island's Choice going on to Sheltering Rider to neuter its ability to do any damage this game until it somehow gets its Aegis refreshed or a weapon bestowed upon it. I don't know if Pringles has any of those sorts of tools. Is he playing any Nostrixes?
I don't think either deck is playing Nostrix. Let me take a look again.
That's not too shocking. These Huru-based lists now have so many different options in terms of top end and even mid game now that I've seen everything now. Especially another new card from the campaign, Daraka. I don't know how much you've played with him.
Hi, I'm a big fan of Daraka.
Yeah, that guy can bring a beating.
Yeah,
Also, actually lines up well against Sheltering Rider because you can just pop the Aegis or whatever.
Yep. 6 power 7/7. Usually don't get efficient units in Primal, so just really cool card, but not in either of these decks either. So, you know.
Yeah, again, a testament to all the options, right? Thunderstrike Dragon can also be the weapon of choice in that slot, or several others. Plated Demolisher, right? Am I right? Come on, guys. So
what card are you talking about? No.
Yeah, but here we see Sheltering Rider coming down. And the response from Pringles is just a Throne Warden. Now Mouche, I guess, could Rune Hammer the Throne Warden that Pringles has.
Yeah.
And that's the line of play that they go with.
Yeah, and that sets up a nice play next turn for his Throne Warden if he wants to do that. Or he could save it to try and get an 8/12 sort of the Sky King. Casual 8/12.
Yeah, I would not be shocked to see this hammer only get one use and then get replaced immediately with sort of the Sky King on curve. It'll come down to what Pringles does on this turn, though.
Yeah, and it came down to an Icario, which let me tell you, gets rid of Auric Runehammer. So that's what we're gonna see happen.
Yep. So I think that means we will see a very quick sort of the Sky King in response to deal with that Icaria swiftly and give Mouche the control of the board again. And Pringles will just have to hope that Warcry 5 hits something real juicy.
Yeah, so Mouche with the Throne Warden hand, gonna be able to get another blocker down in case Dr. Pringles has some more ground threats like this Whirling Duo. Also got the Lightning Strike to hold stuff up. And just going to be able to clear stuff out of the way with this Sword of the Sky King. I'm not sure what Pringles has in hand, so once we find that out, though, we'll see exactly what sort of state this game is in.
Yeah, this was a backup match, so we just got our hand cams and main cams mixed up. But from what I understand, the audience at home can see what's in Pringles' hand, so we'll at least relay what's going on. All right, Island's Choice, Caleb's Choice, and 2 Vanquishes. So we see the double Vanquish get deployed here. Pringles can hold up Island and Caleb's Choice, but Caleb's Choice can't destroy the Sword of the Sky King because of the face Aegis at play here. Meanwhile, Mouche has an Island's Choice of his own to go with a Vanquish and a Lightning Strike. So going to just try and keep the path cleared for this Sword of the Sky King that's sitting on only 2 armor left. And Dr. Pringles sitting at a very healthy 35 life total here.
Yeah, Mouche really has to protect this Sword of the Sky King. This is not, there's no Reforge, there's no Smuggler Stash, anything like that. And he's out of threats. So this Sword of the Sky King is super important. And that Caleb's Choice, this face Aegis is doing a ton of work here.
Yeah, this is where Dr. Pringles is maybe wishing they had a boar instead, right? You get to cast it, pop the Aegis, then cast it again and kill the Sword of the Sky King.
That card is so good.
Yeah, all in one card. It's pretty cool. And here we see a Strategize go off and find a Thunderstrike Dragon for Mouche.
That's probably the best hit, or maybe that or Mistveil Drake are comparable.
I would say I'd prefer to have a Thunderstrike Dragon in this spot, just 2 threats to deploy.
It's more damage.
To back.
Yeah.
Also, next turn will be able to play out Thunderstrike Dragon and still hold up Island's Choice. But,
boy. Okay. That's a big Icaria, huh? Well, Mouche can kill that in a turn. Can pop the Aegis with Vanquish and then Island's Choice it.
Yeah, unfortunately for Mouche, he had used up so much power that turn that he couldn't deploy a Lightning Strike, which he has a pair of, to pop the Aegis so that he could proactively vanquish the Icaria this turn. So this Icaria is going to
get... Go ahead.
Yeah, the Icaria is going to get another swing in, and then Mouche will be able to Lightning Strike plus Island's Choice it, but he'll miss out on being able to hit with Thunderstrike Dragon and Sword of the Sky King this turn.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like saving the Lightning Strike and just Island's Choicing, or saving the Vanquish and just using Lightning Strike Island's Choice, because Vanquish is just so much more valuable.
Yeah, the issue you could bring up is that then you don't have Island's Choice to counter Harsh Rule, but there's a chance that Harsh Rule got boarded out in this match.
Yeah, already. You don't care that much about Harsh Rule.
Yeah, he was slow rolling a Thunderstrike Dragon here anyways. A Harsh Rule is just good for your Sword of the Sky King. Dr. Pringles has a Caleb's Choice, and it can't counter Island's Choice. So I think we'll see it come out on this Lightning Strike, and there it is. Of course, Mouche has another Lightning Strike, so we'll still be able to deal with this Icaria.
So pretty cool exchange of spells here going on. So that's a total of 4 spells that played before that Icaria died and everything resolved.
And Mouche just draws an Island's Choice anyway, so we'll be
Yeah.
able to deploy this Thunderstrike Dragon and protect it from big spells like Channel the Tempest or whatever anyways. And or Arshral, there it is.
And that, unless Dr. Pringles has a 3-cost spell in his hand that is going to do something to stop one of these 2 threats, he's dead.
The last
got
card in
Island's
Dr.
Choice,
Pringles'
okay.
hand is an Island's Choice, so that will deal with the Thunderstrike Dragon, but still has to draw something to deal with this Sword of the Sky King. So ideally for Dr. Pringles, that'll be whatever got that Warcry 10, right? A big charge
like
unit,
a big
something like
Throne
that.
Warden, a big fat Throne Warden. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
we'll never know.
Swing and a miss. So no unit, no weapon drawn there for Dr. Pringles. Scoops it up, and Mouche takes that match 2-1.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I also think.
All right.
So yeah, that's going to be the end of our round 6 coverage. That's going to be the end of our Swiss coverage. So we will be back with an update on brackets and top 8 and things like that. Let's see if we can briefly just go over.
We've got
results.
7 already. We're just figuring out whoever the lucky 4-2 player is. So
yeah, so confirmed players at 6-0, Bruised by God, who we saw on that sweet Inquisitor's Blade Argenport mid-range deck. Then Altrek at 5-1, who we did not see on stream, so I'm not 100% on what they're playing. Second Blue at 5-1, who we saw playing that Xenon mid-range deck. Herod at 5-1, who we also have not seen. Serve, who we saw a couple times playing that Elysian Horn deck, also at 5-1. AromaNova at 5-1, and Unearthly at 5-1. And then our final slot we will figure out when once we have all the results in. So pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of, it looks like, let's see here. We've got 2 Argenport decks in the top 8, but it's Unearthly and Bruised by God, just great players playing what they know and having good results with it. Nice to see Second Blue on Xenon mid-range. And yeah, some Huru, some Elysian Horn, man. That is sweet. The Horn is a cool card, and the addition of Daraka gives that deck kind of its card to slot in almost the predatory Carnosaur spot, where it's like big threat that can give you a really huge tempo swing the turn it comes down. Pretty nice. And I'm just getting word, speaking of Elysian, that our final player to make the top 8 is Sucklek on Elysian mid at 4-2.
Wow, so a lot of Primal and a lot of Justice as well in the top 8.
Not a lot, no, good amount of shadows. It's really just Fire that's sort of missing, right? It's just that.
Get out of here, Oni Ronin. We've had enough of you.
Yeah, Hailstorm's had a bit of a chilling effect on some of the aggro decks out there. They're still reeling and adjusting. But I think they'll figure some things out. That card has it's people will adjust.
Oni Ronin will find its way back. I'm sure.
Oni Ronin, as long as Fire has Oni Ronin and Torch, they will find a way to have strong decks. I'm not.
Yep. But that's going to be, like I said, our coverage for Swiss. So we will see you all guys back in top 8.